Welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing money is an inside job. My guest is Brenda St. She's an accredited financial counselor, financial therapist, certified money coach, trauma of money facilitator, and certified financial planner candidate. She's been a coach, therapist, and facilitator on personal development and human potential since 1996. Her focus on money started in 2009. With over 2 decades of hand-on experience in business and personal growth, she's passionate about creating innovative ways to teach both financial and emotional literacy. As the founder of Rewire, Brenda has developed numerous programs to help average to high net worth individuals living paycheck to paycheck, and people that are emotionally challenged around money experience true peace, joy, and confidence in both their personal and financial lives. Her multifaceted career as a massage therapist, voice actor, motivational speaker, and published author has afforded her a very unique perspective. She co-authored a book with Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bernie Siegel called The Thought That Changed My Life Forever, a bestseller on Amazon in Canada. She's been featured on numerous podcasts, radio, and television. Brenda, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Hello, it's so good to be here, and thank you for having me. It's always interesting to hear my bio.
To have it read, right? You're like, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that too.
Yeah, it's a great reminder.
Yes, exactly. We are talking about money is an inside job today. Tell us, what does that mean? This is something you teach regularly.
Yeah, I would say that this is kind of like my tagline. It makes it a different experience working with money when you're looking at it from the lens of how do we emotionally relate with money? You know, and so often we create our relationship with money as having it, not having it, what to invest, what to save, what to spend, what to, how to share it, how to donate it. But when money is an inside job, is like, how do we relate to it? What meaning do we create to it? You know, it could influence how we relate with the world and how we relate with our families and our coworkers to, you know, it's a really relational energy when we look at money as an inside job.
I love that concept of looking at money more as energy and a relationship rather than just a thing or a tool or whatever we often refer to it as. So if it's a relationship, how do we build a good relationship? Presuming we want a good relationship. I think
exactly. Well, exactly, totally. And a lot of times we don't think about it that way, but I often ask my clients, I'm like, so if money was your lover, how are you treating it right now? You know, is it a one-night stand? Are you a jealous lover? Are you an avoidant lover? Are you dismissive? Are you a bipolar lover? Like, you know, there's so many ways that we relate with money that is very similar to how we relate with our significant other in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
so it's a
that's cool.
Look at it. Yeah.
Great way to look at it. Great way to look at it. Because if you're thinking of it in terms of that relationship, it's like, oh, would my significant other be happy if I did that to them?
Exactly.
And I'm wondering if that's what you see most of the time with your clients.
There's so many ways that people relate with money. So there's no one narrative that brushes the stroke for everyone. So it's really a personal journey into how we relate with money. And as a financial therapist, it's really about holding space for us to feel safe to explore our relationship with money. And then things that can show up, like say you have a relationship with money where you don't like to talk about it, you know, and you never want to even look at your bank book. You might be throwing stuff in the drawer so you don't look at the bills. Anyone that talks about it, you feel uncomfortable and you just have to run away. You want to go, okay, what is that? It could come from your your story that you were born into. Like no one in your family talked about it.
Right.
And money could be dirty, money could be bad. And if you talk about it, maybe you're wondering what people are going to think about you, that you're all about money. And so it comes in so many layers. And the more you peer into your relationship with money, the more room it has to change. So when you asked, so how do you get a healthy relationship with money? It's not what you do, it's how you be with it. So you be curious, you stop judging yourself. You know, some people will need to have practices because they don't have any habits with money at all. And so there has to be some accountability and like, let's look at it. Let's have a money date. We can have a money date where you put the candles on, you get some chocolate and some sparkling water, and then you sit down with your money and you start to have an intimacy with how you're relating with money. Because money is probably one of the most underexplored energies on the planet. You know, we don't look at it through the lens of health. We look at it through the lens of, do I have enough? I need more. Am I doing it right? I'm stupid if I don't understand it. And there's so much around our relationship with money.
Yeah, all of those things I think come up for a lot of people, to the point where, like you said, we're taking the envelopes, not even opening them. The bills come in the mail, the statements come in the mail, they don't get opened, they get put into a drawer or a pile or straight into the trash or whatever, because we're so nervous to have a conversation, to look, to explore, and get into this concept and energy of money. I totally agree with you. It's like not even talked about. It's so odd that that's the deal, and it's very much just, do I have enough? Can I get more? That's it.
And no one really cultivates what enough is in our lives. And I think that's what the problem is on the planet, is we want more, we want more. Like, when is enough?
Yeah.
You know, when is enough? And how do you feel satisfied in your life? And I mean, when you talk about people that don't talk about money, there's also people that obsess about it and they talk about it all the time. Or there's people that, like I have 9 money archetypes, so they all show up in different ways. But there is an archetype that is problematic with money, and it's the tyrant. It's the one that is in the Excel sheet, and they're measuring how much they spent and how much they spent, and they know down to the penny how everything happens. And if they're in a family, they want the receipts, and everything is tracked. And so there's not a lot of flow, there's not a lot of ease, and not a lot of joy with our relationship with money. And money is supposed to be a nutrient for our lives. It shouldn't be something that is hoarded either.
Yeah, because it really does take all the fun out of it if you're, tracking every single little thing down to the penny. And I know, for taxes and stuff, it's helpful to have a system that does that, but you don't have to look at it every single day. You don't have to check on it every moment of every day, and you don't really have to do that for your personal, unless you're on a super tight plan trying to get out of debt type of a thing. But even then, you can have, this is what I'm going to spend on fun stuff, and not have to track beyond, did I, go over. So I just love all that of the different archetypes. So what are the other ones? Because the tyrant is one. There's 8 more. Share with us some of what these are.
Well, and just for the listeners too, if you really want to see what your archetype is, you can go on my website and do the quiz, because you generally have about 3 of them running at different times in your life. So I call them the trifecta, and they show up in different areas. And a lot of us start out as an innocent, where you just don't know anything about money. And as you become an adult, if you stay an innocent, that's like having your head in the sand. I don't want to look at it. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not smart. And so you have other people do your numbers. Another one is the orphan, where, you might not have had a lot of support as a kid. And so you don't trust authority. You don't trust the system to support you. So you might break the law, you might lie, you might cheat around money, because you just don't trust people.
Yeah.
The fool, really impulsive, overspending, like takes big risks, has no responsibility, no discipline, just will take the shirt off their back and give it away, and they don't even know that was the last shirt they owned.
They weren't paying attention. Yep.
And then there's the caregiver, which is the one that just gives to everyone and takes care of everyone. That's how they find their worth and their love. And so the money is always going out. They don't know how to receive. The artist is the one where money is the root of all evil. It's dirty and it shouldn't be in this world. And they're usually anti-establishment in a lot of ways. They have a hard time putting a price on their work or their services. And they just want to stay in that starving artist kind of role.
Yeah.
Then there's the warrior, which is the one that gets out there and learns how money works. They work hard. They can be thrifty. They have a goal. They know what they're going for. The wizard, really good manifester, magically thinks about it and it happens, that parking spot, or maybe it's down to the wire and they don't have the money for rent. And all of a sudden it shows up.
There it is. Yeah.
The universe is taking care of me. Right.
Right.
But really have an undeveloped wizard doesn't really have a good relationship with money. They're just good with manifesting, right? So different. And then the last one is the wise elder. Well, the tyrant, as I talked about. The tyrant is that there's never enough and hoarding, and there's a lot of scarcity, and it could be there's a self tyrant where you're never enough, you never do enough, and all of those things. And then there could be a tyrant out there where it's like, I want that. And so it's like, take. And then the last one is the wise elder. And that's the newest archetype. That's the one that retells the story. They realize that we are the effect of all of our marketing. We are investing in money, has a carbon footprint. It impacts the world. So they understand how to invest ethically. They will buy environmentally. So they're buying local, they're taking care, using their money for good, basically, and retelling a story of how to be with money. So those are the 9.
That's awesome. I love that. And I heard myself in there.
I bet you did. Which one jumped out for you?
Well, I'm the one that wants to go out and teach everybody else all the things, because I'm the super advocate. Okay, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to help all the rest of you. So
yeah, like that could be a combination of the warrior and the caregiver too.
Yes,
right?
It is actually. You're right. It probably is, because some of it was definitely warrior, but I know I have some of that caregiver streak of just kind of wanting to give things away. And I used to struggle with, what do I charge for things? And is it okay to get paid and stuff like that? We've solved a lot of that, but yeah, it's definitely there. So that was really cool. So now I want to go take the quiz and see if I guessed right, because I know sometimes when you take the quiz, you're like, oh, didn't spot that.
But it's the same thing. We're a movable feast, right? There's so many elements to us. One day you're going to answer a question different than the next day sometimes.
Right. Very true. And it probably depends, on where you are at the moment, what you're feeling right now. Is it the end of the month and you're worried about rent coming up, or did you just handle everything because it's around the 5th or the 10th and you're good? Like, show up differently. So yeah. I wonder, how do you get to be more of that manifester? I feel like I can do it sometimes. I've done it with the parking spot, exactly like you said. Like, I'm driving a really big truck today and I'm not sure where I'm going to find parking downtown. Oh, look, here's one and it's in the shade. Like,
that's so cool. Best.
The best.
It's interesting because the work that I do is about strengthening the 3 pillars of a healthy relationship with money. And that could show up in a lot of different ways. But there are 3 archetypes that hold up the 3 pillars. And one of them is the pillar of peace. And the pillar, we're taking them off.
Yes. Okay. For the people who are listening, you can't see what's happening here, but I am having like the biggest costume fail I've ever had on the show. In that I did really cool, super long purple eyelashes for the glamour theme that Brenda wanted to do. And apparently I need to watch more tutorial videos on how to stick freaking eyelashes on, or spring for really expensive glue, not the one that came with them, because they're not sticking on at all. And I've been fiddling with them for the last 10 minutes and I'm giving up and taking them off so that I can focus and not be weird. So there you go.
Still glamorous. My glamour shot was, I'm like putting on my most expensive jewelry that I never wear.
Oh, I love doing that.
There's a story of this, and it has to do with that wealth of like feeling wealth on your body with jewelry and what that does to your physical body in a lot of ways. So this jewel it's an emerald and diamond piece that's from Turkey, it's about 150 years old. and it's like got rose cut diamonds in it. And it's like this, it just hums on me. It's so I was like, well, this is an opportunity because I never wear it. So,
Yeah, that is awesome. I love that. I love that. And I was so busy figuring out the lashes and texting you that I'm going to be 5 minutes late because I'm trying to get these lashes to stick to my face that I ended up with no necklace. But I do like these earrings a lot. I always think they're really fun when I wear them. So that's why I'm wearing them.
yeah.
So, all right. So you were telling us about the three pillars. And so let's go
Like
back to that.
peace, confidence, and joy are the three pillars of a healthy relationship. And some of us have one of them really highly developed. But if you don't have all three of them, then you can't actually move forward with a true healthy relationship with money. So that's a good test, right? Like, I think I'm pretty good with money, but I'm missing some element.
Right.
And so peace is the first one, and that's held up by the wizard. So the wizard is the one that manifests, that trusts, that there's no scarcity, right? It's like we are taken care of. The universe has our back. I am in divine timing. I know when to say yes and take action, and I know when to stay still. So there's just this real strong intuition around support and being taken care of. And they have a really powerful relationship with source, I guess, depending on if you're spiritual or if you tapped into that, but whether you call that God or whatever, but someone's got your back, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's peace. And that can take some time, especially if you've grown up in a place where the carpet has been pulled out from you, or you haven't been able to feel that sense of being taken care of. So there's a lot that needs to happen to really strengthen that. Mm-hmm. The next one is confidence, and that's held up by the warrior. And that's financial literacy. That's understanding how the money system works in the world. It's taking really skillful action to learn and educate yourself. It's confidence can show up. Do you know how to negotiate your wage? Do you know how to price your products? Do you know how to stand strong in what you feel is your value? So confidence can show up in all kinds of different ways. And when that's really dialed in with money, it's like you can create some change. But if you don't have peace, it could get a little out of balance. And then the third one is joy, and that's from the wise elder. And joy is like, loving the fabrics on your body and the food you're eating or the technology in your hand, and just not taking it for granted, but just really feeling the beauty of what it means to be in this 3D world. And that's the first level of joy. The next level of joy is, does it harm anyone to have that? And so, like, for instance, a cell phone. Do you get a cell phone new every year because it brings you joy? Do you know that one new cell phone is the carbon footprint of driving your car every day for a year?
Oh my gosh.
So if you keep your cell phone for 5 or 6 years, you're doing way more of, you're lessening your carbon footprint on the planet by doing that. So you buy a cell phone that can be upgraded, that you can put an SD card for more storage. You make different choices so that you do that. Or do you buy fabrics that are fast fashion that get thrown out in 6 months or 6 weeks? Or do you buy something that's classic and it's well made, that's going to last a long time? So joy can be on all levels, but it's not just joy for us, it's joy for the planet, the people, and all of that stuff. So when you have a strong sense of peace, a deep confidence in who you are on the planet in relation to your money, and a phenomenal experience of joy of being interdependent with everyone around you too, that's when you have a healthy relationship with money.
I love that. I'm feeling like, okay, I've got some work to do. I've gotten far, but I've got some work to do. And I suspect that other people are also thinking, I think I could work on something here to make that even stronger. You touched on this concept of enough. How do you know what enough is and when is enough to help us not have that it's never enough feeling, which I think is a balance, I guess you could say, when it comes to money. Is it, it feels like enough is never enough Sure, I have food, but I don't have a new car. Sure, I have my new phone, but can't go buy the $300 coat that's going to be more sustainable. I have to get the fast fashion or whatever it is. Sure, my business made six figures, but now I need seven. Like, how do we make peace with that? How do we figure out what enough will be?
When you're swimming in water of not enough, it's hard to know what enough is because you're being bombarded with everything marketing that this is going to make you happy. You got to get the next best thing. If you're living in a neighborhood of opulence and you're less than, you feel like you need to be more. It's a comparison thing. When you're around people that make more money than you feel like you need to make more money and all of those things. So there's so many elements that we completely are unconscious about that feed that feeling of not enough. So the work of enoughness is cultivated with presence and attention. And a lot of that presence and attention is noticing when it is enough. So, when you eat food and you don't overeat and you eat just enough, and then you wait the 20 minutes and it feels so good that you didn't overeat, you feel so satisfied. It's usually when you don't have sugar in your diet generally, but but that feeling or you have, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, but I don't hope your audience is okay. But when you have sex and you have a real complete experience of an orgasm or whatever, and you're just sated, it's just this enough. You want to pay attention. Well, oh, this is what enough feels like. Or when you go for a hike in the woods and you work your body out, but you don't overwork, but you work enough right at the end, and you're like, oh, that was perfect. You're not going to be not able to walk the next day, but you really felt you did enough.
Yeah.
Sitting on a park bench in front of the water and smelling the ocean or the sea or whatever you're and watching the boats or feeling the sun, and you're sitting in this beautiful space and really feel like this is enough, so it's really paying attention to what enough is first. That's the first step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so learning to recognize the enough feeling and seeking it out, so really looking for that in other areas, then we can start to apply that to the money part and go, okay, now I know what enough feels like. Now I can start to watch for when money is enough. That's very cool. I like it. And that's the enough feeling is great. I like that. You talked a little bit about, at least when we met, the concept of making decisions from a place that aligns with our values. Can you talk about that a little bit and how it relates to how we interact with money?
Well, I think one of my big values or things that I lean into is congruence. And when you're out of congruence or you're out of alignment, nothing ever feels joyful, really. You're always a little off, right?
Yep.
It never quite feels right. And the longer you're out of congruence, the harder it is to find yourself again, right? So a great way of getting back into congruence is to recognize how you're spending your money. So when your values are, okay, I want to have my kid go to university or whatever. I want them to not have to pay for tuition or whatever. I want to take my family out on this vacation. I would like to do the windows in my front hall because the air is coming in or whatever, those kind of things that would enhance and align and be good for your life. And you make choices that pull them forward more. That's when you're in alignment with your values, and to get really clear on what your values are to begin with.
Right.
So it's an exploration. That's why it's an inside job. It's not like I can tell someone, do this and you'll do it right. Right. It's more like, okay, let's just see what's going on in the inside. What are your values? Did that answer that question that you'd asked?
It does. Yes. And I think you're so right in that no one can tell you what your values are. So it's really up to you to figure out what's most important, what you value, what you want to have happen, and then align yourself with that. Because if you're doing something that's way outside of your values, you're not going to be happy there. It's never going to come together. And which means the money isn't going to come together either. You may earn it a little bit, but then you'll end up losing it or spending it all trying to find a way to get back to where you really are aligned. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Along that line, what does the kind of physical side of all of this do? So when we have we're not aligned or scarcity and things like that, what's our nervous system doing? How are we reacting? Because I'm trying to look for ways that people could spot their misalignment if they're going, I think that's me, but I'm not sure and I don't know. Like, how can we tell? Where would this show up?
Well, it's so interesting that you asked that question, because the word trauma is everywhere now, right? Everyone's talking about big trauma, nervous system. I don't know about everywhere. Maybe it's just because I'm in the therapeutic setting, but but I mean, a lot of trauma or nervous system regulation, or that fight or flight kind of behavior, or the freeze, or what I also call the fawn. So when you're trying to get people to like you, like that's another nervous system thing, right? So those kind of elements can show up in our interactions with people, but they can also show up in our interactions with spending too. So if your nervous system and your reaction is, I don't want to feel this, so I'm going to eat ice cream. I don't want to feel this, so I'm going to go shopping. Or I don't want to feel this, so whatever, right? When you're doing those, I don't want to feel this, and you're trying to find an escape from your feelings, oftentimes it's spending, because when you spend, it releases hormones into your brain or chemicals into your brain that make you feel good momentarily, similar to sugar. It's a similar response to eating sugar, where it just soothes you. So it's like retail therapy, or, it's just soothing behavior. So when you can start to recognize that you're doing soothing behavior, you want to actually pay attention. So what am I soothing myself from? What is it that I don't want to feel? And you may not have the wherewithal or the ability to sit in it if there's some heavy duty PTSD or trauma in your life. So then you hire me, or you get some support, right?
Yes, you call for help. Exactly. Yeah.
And that is where you start to become a steward and a leader with your money. You're not supposed to do it all on your own. We're not designed as humans to do this on our own. We're supposed to connect with each other. And money is the way that we disconnect from everyone. No one talks about it. It's taboo. It's a measuring stick of your value. It's this weird energy that is very isolating to people. And my desire is to get it out of the closet, and let's really look at it and be seen in our relationship with money. And I think that's the only thing that actually heals it, truly. Over the like decade and a half of doing this work, it's the only thing that actually makes lasting change, is being seen and held with no judgment in your relationship with money.
And I mean, that's the whole focus of this show, is to bring it into the open, make it something that we're talking about. I really love the way you phrase that, of being seen and held in your relationship with money without judgment. Just, here's where I'm at. Where do I go next? Not anybody evaluating whether that's good, bad, sideways, the other, who knows? Just, this is where I'm at. Now what? Absolutely love that concept. I think that's fantastic, and it would definitely make a huge difference if we felt comfortable talking about this. And I'm so glad there's people out there like you that are talking about this and making this the main topic. It's like, hey, let's make this mainstream so everybody's talking about money. This has been wonderful. I'm so excited that we got to chat. Tell us what you're most excited about now. What do you have coming up?
Well, I run a company called Rewire, and I have many different programs around it. And the rewiring is rewiring our brain primarily, because I think that's one of our gifts and challenges.
Right.
They're pattern makers, these brains of ours. So I am a hypnotherapist. So I do a lot of like subconscious work and reprogramming around, the behaviors that we generally don't feel like we have control over. So that's why I call it Rewire. So Rewire Your Wealth is a 12-week immersive where we work in a cohort. So you have a lot of one-on-one with me and my coaches. We go into your finances, we look at it, and we work in a cohort. So you work with other people that are going through the program as well. So there's a lot of group therapy. It could be a group teaching and sharing, and just a really supportive community to move through this stuff with. So I find that there's this, I'm teaching what I'm telling you about what's up next. So I apologize,
No,
but I wanted to speak to the thing about power and money too, because oftentimes you'll hire a financial advisor, or you go to the bank, or you'll talk to someone that has more knowledge about money than you do, and you surrender and abdicate your power to them. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. Yes. So what I found is people would do that to me as the expert. And I was like, no, I need you to hold the reins of your life in this. Yeah. And it happens in community. It doesn't happen in one-on-one therapy. You need one-on-one therapy to move the needle, but the true leadership happens in community. So that is why the combination of that happens when we're doing this work. And it's super exciting. I'm always honored when people come into the cohort. I run it 3 to sometimes 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. And it's a dynamic, amazing experience. And that's always what I'm up to next, other than the next TED Talk or the book that I'm writing and stuff. But mostly that is the offering that I offer the world, to see how many people want to come and play.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, I think that's a really fantastic concept that you bring up, of how you've discovered the empowering part happens in the group, because we are designed to be in communities. That's what humans do, is form groups. And is so very interesting to think about how, when it's one-on-one, we're very willing to be like, yep, you're the expert, just handle it. And when we get in that group, you're like, no, everybody should be paying attention and seeing how good I'm doing. Like, did you see what I did there? I own something, I'm on it. It's a very different dynamic when you're in a group versus when you're one-on-one. So yeah, very, very, very cool. I love that way of working. It's like, okay, we'll work through it, but then come over to the group so you can own your own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. What a great way of framing it. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. This has been fantastic. I am so grateful to have had you on the show. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you, the best way to do that is through email. So you can email Brenda at brendastlouis.com. I didn't say that right. Brenda right?
Yes.
Brenda. Okay. Brenda at brendastlouis.com. Yes. So there you go. Thank you as well to all our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. I'm a business optimization coach, financial educator, author, and speaker. You can contact me and find out what I'm up to through my website, CamilleDiaz.com, and follow me on social media at Cam Unfiltered. Be sure to follow MoneyHeart at MoneyHeart Show, and our website is moneyheartshow.com. Brenda, do you want to share today's money mantra?
I would love to. So money and the way that we interact with it doesn't often make logical sense, but it does make perfect emotional sense.
Yes, I love that. And really looking at those feelings that you are having and then figuring out what that's leading you to do. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was such a great time together.